Did you know that your mindset can sabotage you from getting ahead in your career? Hi, my name is Kisha. I'm a career success strategist with over 20 years of working in corporate HR and in talent development. And my mission is to help women to break through their internal glass ceiling so that they can get ahead in their career. And in today's video, I'm going to focus on 3 mindset mistakes that will absolutely kill your career growth. So if you're ready to get ahead, I want you to grab your pen and paper and get ready to take some notes because we're going to go through some really quick but powerful content today. So, mindset mistake number 1. And the reason we're talking about mindset is because a lot of times we focus so much on skill set. And that is the number one thing that we're going to talk about, though. Number one mindset sabotage that gets in our way is that we overvalue expertise and we overvalue skill sets. And we don't recognize that a lot of times it's not so much that we don't know what we need to do or we don't have the expertise or the skill set to do what we need to do. The actual thing is that we're afraid. We're afraid of failure. We're afraid of rejection. We're afraid of other people thinking that we're not good enough. And so we don't put ourselves out there to risk getting rejected. Perfect example is that I had a woman that she was literally scared to go and interview. So, we brilliant, high-performing women, we don't say we're scared to do things. Our excuses are way more sophisticated than that. It's way more sexy. So what do we say? We say, oh, you know what? I need to hire a career person around interviewing, and I need this person to help me with their interviewing techniques. And I'm like, really? Because you have like 15 years of work experience and you've had 6 jobs. Are you saying that you don't know how to interview? Do you really not know how to interview? Because that's how I am. I see the BS, call it out. I said, sister girl, you are brilliant. You know how to interview. And if you didn't, you could have just Googled it, check out a YouTube video, and you would have been good to go. What is the underlying issue? Oh, you're scared that people are going to think you're not ready. You're scared that you're going to fail. You're scared of rejection. So you're not going to put yourself out there because you're afraid. And reality is that this is human feelings. This is normal human feelings, I should say. It's that, a lot of times we are scared of being rejected. We're scared of putting ourselves out there and hearing the no. And instead of recognizing it and owning it, we just don't do it. And we overvalue or we overfocus on what we do know, which is more training, more studying, more expertise. It's called the good student, the good girl student syndrome, the one that always studied and got the A in class. But, at some point, the study has to be over and you actually have to get the job done. And so it's really taking a step back. No judgment, no shame. A lot of times, yes, these fears come up. But in order to overcome the fear, we actually can't suppress them. We actually have to face them and recognize them and feel the fear and step forward and do it anyway and not hide behind more training, more excuse, more expertise that's needing. So not overvaluing expertise is number 1. Number 2 is trying to be a culture fit. And let me tell you about this. This is actually perpetuated by organizations. A lot of times organizations, you're talking about, I need to bring somebody in here that's going to fit in. It's not about fitting in because you know what? Organizations that are out there looking for people to fit in are very prone to bias. No, it's being a culture add, meaning bringing something to the table that the rest of the table can't bring. Because when you're not at the table, there's a gap, there's a void, there's a perspective that only you can fulfill. Daniel Leslie says it absolutely well. Instead of being a culture fit, be a culture addition and add. Bring your cultural advantage to the table, which simply means I'll put myself as an example, as a female, as a Black female, as an introvert. I would hear this all the time at tables where I was the only female, and you would hear that we need to coach this woman to be more confident. And then I looked and I was just like, well, perhaps it's not a confidence problem. Perhaps there's a cultural difference. Maybe she's from a culture that respects hierarchy in a way that we don't necessarily in the US, although we say we do, we don't really. Or maybe she's an introvert. And so it's not so much that she doesn't have a lot to say. Maybe she needs time to think and to process. And then she'll be able to be vocal in a meeting, but not vocal in the way that the alpha male would be vocal. It'd be vocal in a different way, in a style that's authentic to her. And maybe we need to adjust our style in our culture to be able to adapt her style to hear what she's saying, rather than telling her she needs to be more confident, rather than putting the problem on her, right? And what we do with that is that we also hear that a lot, the other thing, let me come back to the point. The other thing that women struggle with that a lot of times cause them not to want to speak up in corporations is if you're too assertive, like you're in a double bind. If you don't say enough, you're not confident. And then when you say too much and you say it with conviction, then you hear, oh, you are the B word. I'm going to call you the B word because you are too aggressive. And organizations are not, in many ways, male-dominated organizations are not used to women showing up and having a voice in an assertive way. And it's not accepted. And so you're told that you're either too nice and you don't speak up too enough, or you're too aggressive and assertive, and then they call you the B word. And so you can't win. And what we tend to do with that is we try to hide our differences and just to fit in. But the very thing, I'm going to tell you, the very thing that makes you different is the very thing that makes you bring value to the table that nobody else can bring to the table. It's recognizing that difference is your differentiator and being able to leverage that difference for your advantage, and understanding that this is your superpower. And in order to know that is to know your story, know your strengths, leverage the strength, and be unapologetic about those strengths. And so that's the second thing. The third thing, the third mindset shift that we have to have is caring too much about what people think. And I've made multiple videos on this. I'm going to link below if you're watching this on YouTube. I'll link it in the description below or in the comments below if you're watching on LinkedIn. But caring too much about what people think causes us to shrink back and not to step up boldly and courageously, even in our calling. And so for me, I'll give an example of myself. When I was finally able to break through, and honestly, it's a daily practice, I would call it. If it's something you struggle with, it may be something that you'll never fully get over, but you have the day, like you have a meditation practice every day you get up, or you have a practice of eating. Every single day you get up and eat, or every single day you get up and exercise, every single day you get up and meditate, every single day you take an action and you move forward. And the more action you take is the more courageous you get, and the less you begin to be so concerned about what people think. And as I personally started taking those actions, I was able to see a shift. Like we talked about this whole confidence discussion, which evolved into a whole coaching program that I have now, and evolved into a whole consulting gig that I do with organizations. It allowed me to be able to speak up boldly in a room, but also to be able to speak up boldly on stages across the globe. It allowed me to apply and get jobs for which I would have probably not applied for before, and enjoyed those jobs. Felt like I was in absolutely my zone of genius. And to this point, now I'm able to have my own business and run my own company, my own organization. But I wouldn't be able to do that if I didn't confront and face my fear of what other people thought of me. And the reason I'm telling you this story is not because to tell you, oh, I'm so great and amazing. It really is to tell you, to give you a vision, an idea of what is absolutely possible for you too. To be able to step into a career that is your fulfilling, your highest calling, to break through this sense of not being good enough, to break through the sense of sabotaging yourself because you are afraid of different things. Whatever you are able to dream about in terms of your career, we spend the majority of our waking hours working. So if we're not happy at work, we're literally not happy with the majority of our lives. And so if you desire to step up and to play bigger in your career, to play bigger in your life in a way that you have never played before, and to really stop shrinking from your potential so that you can have a career and a life that is according to your potential, that is your deepest and highest calling, I want to invite you to my live masterclass that I'm going to be having this Wednesday, How to Advance Your Career Confidently. 3 ways to overcome self-doubt that only the select few have been taught. I want this to be available to everyone so that we can wrap up 2020 in a bang, and that we will have the most amazing year and the most amazing next 12 months that we can ever imagine. So I invite you to this masterclass on Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern. I'm going to drop a link below for you to register, and I cannot wait to see you there. So that's all for this week, my friends. I see you and I believe in you. Don't forget, you were not meant to shrink down lower, but rise up and own your power. Have a fantastic week.